We all have to eat. You might as well find out where the best food is. From restaurant reviews to the fun of food from around the region to around the world. This is The Food Show with Andrew Coppolino on 570 News.
And there we are. Welcome to The Food Show. Once again on a Sunday afternoon. It is the big Sunday because it's Super Bowl Sunday. I'm glad you can join us here today. We're in the studio live. Got a couple of guests, and you can also take a peek at what things are looking like via the internet by going to 570news.com and click on the webcast button, and you'll be able to watch live to the internet. We got a show lined up for you today that's action-packed, that's got lots of different foods to talk about. We've got a couple of interesting interviews that we're going to be doing a little later, but I want to say hello to Laura, our Chief Operating Officer here.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Good to see you again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a nice day of sports.
Well, it is that day, isn't it? This is the greatest viewership or spectatorship of a single sporting event in the world ever.
It makes sense.
Yeah, one day it's huge.
It's all about the commercials.
Mm-hmm. Now, I have to tell you, when I started, I'm not a radio, I don't come to radio naturally, and Michael Collins, the general manager here, he asked me to come and talk on the radio, and I said, Michael, I don't know how to talk on the radio, and he said, well, you see that when that red light goes on, just start talking. So I don't really do a lot in here except talk, and it's Laura back there behind the glass that runs the show and gets everything up and running on an hourly basis, so we thank Laura for doing that. Any food experiences you want to share with us this week? Anything interesting in your
I pretty
sites?
much rock the college diet.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Pizzas made out of salsa. That's what I've been making. They're kind of quick.
So what's the dough? Is there a dough there?
Yep, I just take a pita from the store, like, those little pita pockets, and then instead of actually stuffing anything in it, I just put salsa and cheese on top.
And that's a pizza?
Yep, that's what I call it.
Do you cook it?
That's what college is like. Yep.
Do you cook it? Oh,
yep.
Okay. And the step of making like a spaghetti or a pasta sauce for a tomato sauce for the pizza is too big a step for the college budget?
No, just
time?
salsa.
Okay. Well, we do have a couple of studio guests that I'm going to introduce. But first, I have to make a correction. Last week, I misspoke and said that Waterloo's Rude Native is closed. It, in fact, is not closed. RudeNative.com is where you can go to learn more about this restaurant. It is open. I apologize for the miscommunication. And in fact, they want to say that they've got a pretty nice Valentine's Day menu coming up, too. That's Waterloo's Rude Native. Right along King Street, kind of by Uptown Square there at RudeNative.com. So my apologies to them. Now, to our guests in the studio, we have with us here, very pleased that she's been able to join us. It's a name that I'm going to lay on you, and we're not going to parse it or gloss it in any way. We're going to tease you with it a little while. It's Catherine Gingrich, and she's the co-owner of Death Valley's Little Brother. Welcome to the show,
Thank
Catherine.
you.
It's good to have you here. We've heard a lot about your restaurant, but don't give away too much because I want to tease people a little while with this Death Valley thing, which is pretty interesting. You're live in Kitchener, and the restaurant's in Waterloo. Are you new to this area? Is it something that
Yeah, about 2 years ago moved back. My husband is originally from the area, and we met in Toronto. He was there for about 15 years. I was there for 10. And we decided to make our way back this way.
And Death Valley's Little Brother is doing quite well, isn't it? I mean, it's starting to get a name, and it's getting some word of mouth that's traveling through. Good to see.
Yeah, a little bit of a buzz. Yeah.
Are you having fun?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It must be really nice to get feel that kind of energy coming from any business.
It does.
Especially in the tough industry of food.
Well, and the time that we opened, too. We opened right around Christmas time and that sort of thing, too. But people have been really receptive and very positive and complimentary and keep coming back. We've got a lot of regulars that keep coming back.
I don't know, maybe we'll talk about this a little later, but there seems to be a very decided coffee culture here in Waterloo region.
Yes.
Not just in Kitchener and Waterloo, but I think in the whole region you just get that feel. And maybe that's the general milieu, the atmosphere or whatever throughout North America now with a coffee culture. But it'd be interesting to talk about it. We'll also have in the studio, who just popped by, just out of nowhere, our regular contributor correspondent when it comes to things nutritional, registered dietitian Jane Dummer. Welcome.
Hi, Andrew.
Good to be here. You just wanted to drop by and hope that Catherine was bringing some of the great scotch
sample.
that they have.
I'm looking for the samples. It's afternoon, so I'm good to go.
Some of the creme brulee that she's got in front of us, so we're going to learn a little bit more about that. A little bit later, too, we'll be talking to a gentleman from Indianapolis. He runs what's called the Indianapolis Food Tour Corporation. That's a group that does culinary tours in the Indianapolis area and a couple of other states around Indiana. Jeff Swardarski is going to be with us, and we'll learn a little bit about some of the Super Bowl food that is going to be served right in the Super Bowl city. And we'll talk a little bit generally about the food culture there, and maybe branch into what a New York Giant food table would look like versus a New England Patriot food table for the Super Bowl. Also, we have a kind of an odd guest on the phone as well, Dan Nedelko. Well, he's not odd, but what he's plugging here is something called Meatuary. That's like January, February, Meatuary. And he's plugging and pushing us to think about meat and how and why and what we should eat in terms of meat. And we'll talk to Dan about what his little creation is a little later in the program. Ladies, did you know that today is National Chocolate Fondue Day?
Ooh, no. Did not know that.
Fondue is one of those things that it's a cyclical thing, isn't it? I remember when it was really hot a long, long time ago, and I had some guests over, and we did a fondue. It kind of went away.
Yeah.
But this was a savory fondue, so this was cooking the meats and whatever. There used to be restaurants that served fondue. That kind of went away. And maybe it's back now. Maybe it's back. I don't know. But today is National Chocolate Fondue Day, which to me is completely different than to dunking little pieces of fruit and stuff in warm chocolate. Woohoo! It's also World Nutella Day.
Oh.
I don't know, Nutella. Nutella is that hazelnut paste, cream sauce spread, and Italian origins. Pretty popular, I think. Hasn't been high on my scale of things to go to. It can be sweet, and I don't know if Janice...
It does have a lot of sugar in it.
As a nutritionist, that's not a...
I mean, it's an interesting spread because of the nuts. But it,
some protein, but a lot of sugar.
To appeal to children, that is chock full of sugar. So just again in moderation.
Peanut butter would be better, right? Natural peanut butter.
Natural peanut butter would be better.
Yeah, because I sort of equate the two things. In the morning, I have peanut butter on my toast, natural peanut butter.
I mean, if you could crush up hazelnuts yourself, it would be.
My daughter did that the other day. She ground up a bunch of hazelnuts. She added a little bit of cocoa powder. It was a little bit bitter, but it wasn't too bad, and it was way better than Nutella. No offense, Nutella, but it is sugary. Now, something else that this is going to make, if you winced at that, Jane, you're going to be wincing at this, because this is I'm almost kind of blurt this out. It's Pork Rind Appreciation Day. Ooh. This is the first ever Pork Rind Appreciation Day.
That's more Super Bowl friendly.
Exactly, and that's what they did this for the 2012 Super Bowl, Pork Rind Appreciation Day. Probably a more traditional sort of Southern American kind of meal, snack, whatever you want to call it. But that can have a pretty big impact on your caloric intake and fat intake and the rest of it. What else we got going on? Oh, I should probably tell you, this is important. This is really important. Aside from those trivial, fluffy things, there are some important news things that we want to talk about. February is Potato Blitz month, and there's 3 events that you can get involved in. Well, one's passed, so there's 2 events that you can get involved in, and it's all to support the House of Friendship, which is a social assistance organization here in Kitchener that helps feed those who can't feed themselves. They'll use 200,000 pounds of potatoes this year in its 19 programs across the region and locally here in Kitchener, helping to feed those who are in need. Wow. You can help meet this need by giving cash or spuds at the February Potato Blitz events. Charles Street Men's Hostel on Charles Street and the Emergency Food Hamper Program, which is on Guelph Street in Kitchener. Now, on February 11th, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., volunteers from the local churches will be at select KW supermarkets. And you can stop by there with a cash donation, or you can put a couple bags of potatoes. And what's a bag of potatoes? I don't know, $4 or $5.
Yeah.
You can put a couple bags of potatoes into these hampers, and they'll be used to help use this feed these people in this special program. So that's a great thing you can do. And also then on February 24th, Friday, that's Friday, February 24th, from 12 noon to 1 p.m. at St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church in Kitchener, there's a community potato lunch. And it's a free will offering, so I guess it's pay what you can when you go there, and it'll help raise money and support. And if you want to find out more, go to houseoffriendship.org, and learn more about all the great stuff that organization does. And there's a whole bunch of media sponsors that are involved, from this station to our sister stations, Kix 106 and 96.7. Kitchener Rangers, some great organizations that are involved They had the Don Cameron Potato Night on January 27th at the Kitchener Rangers hockey game. And I don't know. I don't think they threw potatoes on the ice. I don't think they did. I think when you came in, you probably donated a bag of potatoes or whatever to the cause. So that's houseoffriendship.org.
That's a great idea. And potatoes are so full of nutrition people don't realize, and iron in the skins, vitamin C. So they're excellent. And when you are looking, hopefully you try to buy the Ontario potatoes to donate. That would be great.
Well, it's very, what's the word I want? Fortuitous, I guess, Jane, that you were here today, because we're talking about potatoes, and I wouldn't have been able to come up with the iron in the skin thing. But you're right. If you don't peel the potatoes and you or peel half of your potatoes and mash them with the skins on, you get all the nutrients that are on the outside of the skin as well. Obviously, it's always been a staple for people, potatoes, from historical times to today. So do support the local organizations that are trying to feed those who can't feed themselves. Of course, if you ever have a question, you want to make a comment, please give us a call, 519-570-2545 or star 570 on your cell. It's 519-570-2545 star 570 on your cell. So this is the big Super Bowl day. I don't know whether you guys have particular plans. Catherine, no particular
Not
plans?
for me, no.
The shop is open, of course.
The shop, yes, it is open.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it doesn't have a TV, so I don't know how many.
You won't get a lot of people there. There'll be non-football fans there,
Yes, definitely.
but you won't be doing anything personally yourself.
No.
And there's nothing going on in particular at the restaurant to sort of.
No, not involved.
So it's a little bit of a haven then for people who don't care for the Super Bowl hype.
I guess so, yeah.
I've said this before. I actually prefer the Grey Cup for some reason. I mean, the Super Bowl is just a big bloated, inflated thing that's just crazy hype-wise.
Yeah.
What about you, Jane?
I'll watch it. I have plans this afternoon to
Okay.
go to the Rangers game, and so I'm kind of chalked up this afternoon. But I will watch it at home. Nobody will be making wings for me, which is disappointing because wings are one of my favorite indulgents.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, because I got some stats. Let me see if I can dig these up. I do have some stats here. It's pretty amazing. Here we go. It's estimated that Americans will eat 90 million pounds of chicken wings, which breaks down to 450 million individual wings. That's a lot of chickens. And that actually horrifies me to think about how many chickens that is. And I know that wings are an indulgence, but they're, they're an indulgence, let's say. Well, I'm Andrew Coppolino, and I'm in the studio with Jane Dummer, registered dietitian. She drops by often on the show here and tells us about things healthy and not healthy. And, of course, Catherine Gingrich, she's from Death Valley's Little Brother. That's dvlb.ca in Uptown Waterloo. New coffee shop, whiskey bar, and a music venue as well. So some cool things going on there. We're certainly going to learn a lot more about that. Now, we do have to take a short break here, Laura. It's time. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about Super Bowl food, and we'll learn what's happening in Indianapolis. Stay with us. This is 570 News.
This is the Food Show with Andrew Coppolino. To call Andrew, 519-570-2545. By cell, star 570. Or toll free, 1-800-570-5715. Food Show with Andrew Coppolino on 570 News.
Like in a mash?
Little treasure.
In a mash? I don't know.
Well, we're having a little discussion here. I'm having a little discussion here, Laura, about peeling potatoes, and someone just tweeted that it's blasphemy to peel your potatoes. This is Andrew Coppolino. We're back with the Food Show. This is the second segment that we're into right now. And I want to welcome back again Jane Dummer, of course, in our studio, and Catherine Gingrich from Death Valley's Little Brother. Now, it's Super Bowl Sunday. Do you remember when Super Bowls used to be in January? They just seem to get progressively longer. I mean, now it's into the end of the first week of February. Soon they're going to be in the end of February. And that certainly is a day of football hype. It's the most, as I've said, most watched single sporting event on the planet. But it's also a huge food event, and if you've ever been to an NFL tailgate party, you'll know what I'm talking about. But what's happening in Indianapolis, and we wanted to find out what kind of food things are happening down there. So I'm talking to Jeff Swidarski. He joins me on the line. He's from the Food Tour Corporation, a provider of culinary-based tours and events throughout Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, Indiana, and Ohio. They strive to preserve and maintain. This is something that really resonated with me. Preserve and maintain the time-honored culinary history and traditions of these regions and promote local and regional history, architecture, culture, and cuisine. Hello, Jeff. Are you there?
Hi, Andrew. How are you?
I'm great. I'm glad to be able to talk with you. Tell us a little bit about the Super Bowl. What's the atmosphere down there now? Are you near where things are happening? Is it just mayhem and partying going on?
It is all of the above, to be quite honest with you. For us in Indianapolis especially, and having grown up there and spent almost all my life there, you can see we had an abysmal football team as a Colts in the early 80s, and to see their growth and to see the changing and see finally excitement, something like the Super Bowl actually taking place in the city while it's resurged, it is unbelievable.
Just before
big things that are going. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you, just before we get into the particular two teams that are playing and maybe foods that might be associated with that, maybe give us a general overview of a traditional Indianapolis street food or something that people here might be able to recognize as what might define the food culture down in that part of Indiana.
Absolutely. And when you talk about that, there's one thing that will always come to your mind, especially to all Hoosiers, and that's the breaded pork tenderloin. Now, what that is, basically, we had a whole bunch, especially in our early history, a lot of German immigrants, Austrian, folks like that come into the area into the 1800s. And a lot of their cuisine and their traditions came along with them. And as we know, as people migrate from one area to another, they take maybe some family time-honored traditions, and they take what's available to them, and it starts fusing into its own sort of thing. So basically, imagine it this way: we have an abundance of pig farms and pork available all throughout central Indiana. We are a landlocked area except for a couple little rivers. So simple enough: pork tenderloin instead of veal. Smash the heck out of it. There's basically the desired thickness is anywhere from a quarter to a half of an inch. You smash it down so it's really, really big. Bread it, and you can have breading as simple as just flour, salt, and pepper. Yep. A lot of other times they put in a couple extra things. Sometimes you see a bit of cornmeal in there as well, depending on how you want. Pop that in deep fryer, and then it's done simply. You put it in a bun. You dress it with mayo. Pickles, lettuce, and tomato, and that's it. And now when you see it also, you have to understand, if you're pounding the heck out of this thing, it should be well beyond the actual tenderloin itself. Should go well beyond the bun. It should be sticking around everywhere.
It should have a little. The bun has a little tenderloin skirt, as it were, hanging down. And so there's no other special seasonings that go on there. It seems like it's a straight up sandwich with a few of those basic kind of hamburger condiments on them.
Absolutely. You do sometimes spritz just a little bit of lemon, which harks back to the old tradition of schnitzel. We keep it plain and simple here because from our heritage, from the Germans, from other folks, even the big Amish kind of groups that we have up a little further north in Indiana, we do stuff simple. We do it simply seasoned, just good quality ingredients. And that's what you can tell, because when you bite into a tenderloin, you want the crunch on the outside, but you want that nice tenderness and juiciness on the inside too. So it has to be done right.
It sounds a lot like what we have up here. You're describing our region almost to a T, with Amish, Old Order, Mennonites, Pennsylvania Dutch. We have the Germanic tradition in our city and our region here, and the schnitzel word is something that rolls off people's tongue here quite lightly. What's the other kind of food events and stuff that's going on there that are sort of focused around the two teams in the Super Bowl today?
Well, a lot of things that they're trying to do, and I'm not going to lie, there are dozens. I mean, there are events all citywide, even going 10, 15 miles outside of the city, all sorts of things. Focusing on each of the teams, what a lot of the big areas, the big local brewery, the first brewery to come back to Indianapolis, Sun King, is having a big tasting, a festival. There's food trucks out, everything like that as well, too. That's another sort of thing that we've been getting into as well in Indianapolis. Bringing in, of course, more small-time folks and people from all around to be able to cook for them. Another thing, too, that's really food-focused and is focused on the areas are Super Bowl Village, essentially. And I'm guessing not everybody listening knows how Indianapolis looks, but essentially there is a street that led from Bankers Life Fieldhouse, which is the Indiana Pacers home, to Lucas Oil Field, which is the home of the Colts, and also where the Super Bowl is going to be at. And we turned it into a complete pedestrian mall, and it will be forever. But it is tailgate, it is food, it is drink, and it's everything else. And a lot of the food, a lot of it is focusing on Indiana food. So once again, you're seeing you're seeing deep fried stuff. You're seeing a lot of meat, pork, beef. You're seeing a lot of deep fried, as I said, corn, all sorts of good stuff. So I mean, we're trying to keep it like that, and then bring it to the next level. It's kind of our time to really show off what Indiana is all about to the rest of the country and the rest of the world.
So, Jeff Swidarski of Food Tour Corporation, your team isn't in it. There is a Manning playing, though. Who do you think is going to win the game? Where are you putting your bet?
You know what? It's hard when a Manning is in it to not follow him. You know what I mean? So
yeah, sure.
I'm going to go with New York.
Okay. Thanks for joining us, Jeff. We appreciate you taking the time. Enjoy the game and all the fun stuff that's going to be happening down in Indianapolis.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Andrew.
That's Jeff Swidarski. He's from the Food Tour Corporation, a group that provides culinary-based tours and events throughout many states in the United States. Great kind of coincidence there, I guess, because when I first did a little pre-interview with Jeff just to find out about Indianapolis food, when he started describing this sandwich before he even said what he would call it, I thought schnitzel right away, and it's exactly the same. So it's kind of neat that, and then you get the Amish and the older Mennonites, Pennsylvania Dutch, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really one of those things, and we often talk about this on the show, is that kind of the way food can sort of bind people together, and we can sort of have these sort of distant cousins and relations way across the continent. So kind of fun to hear. I don't know that I would think of a schnitzel sandwich as a sort of a traditional Super Bowl food, but if you're in Indianapolis, I guess you have to, don't you?
Yeah. I think it would be great.
It sounds good. I mean, you know, if you did a light shallow fry on that, Jane, you don't have to plunge it right underneath. If you just do a light shallow fry, you can get that kind of crispiness that you want and not have to plunge it into.
Sure. And I like the idea with the lemons, just a bit of lemon and then the condiment. Sounds great.
We're gonna be making chili, and then I'm gonna make chili dogs. So that's as close as I'm gonna get, and I'll probably try to pick up some crab cakes or something for the Eastern team, the New Orleans or the sort of New England teams.
Do you have a special ingredient for your chili?
No, I think it's pretty consistently the straightforward beans. I don't do anything oddball in it.
With cocoa?
No. Just keep it sort of straight up meat, lean beef.
Okay.
A couple different kinds of beans usually. Maybe some mushrooms or something.
Any jalapenos?
Like that. Yeah, there can be jalapenos in it. And certainly I like it about 3 days later when all those the hot parts of it have sort of amplified.
Infused
and then
in.
suddenly it's, exactly, and it gets a little bit better. And there's some nice crusty rolls and stuff like that. So, Well, that's great. That was great to talk to Jeff. And we do have to take another break. And as we do that, I want you to think about that in 1884, Willis Johnson of Cincinnati, Ohio, received a patent for an egg beater. That happened on this day in 1884. So that's just something, a little food factoid to take away with you as we go to break. Stay tuned. When we come back, we'll be visiting with Death Valley's little brother, whatever that is. You're listening to 570 News.
We all have to eat. You might as well find out where the best food is. From restaurant reviews to the fun of food from around the region to around the world. This is The Food Show with Andrew Coppolino on 570 News.
And there we are. Welcome back again to The Food Show. Super Bowl Sunday, Laura, is the second largest day of food consumption before what other celebration?
I'm going to have to say probably Christmas.
No, my birthday.
Oh, that makes sense.
No, it's Thanksgiving.
I was going to say Thanksgiving.
Oh,
I didn't give you a chance, did I?
That is a good call, though.
And 1,200 calories is the average amount a Super Bowl watcher will snack on during the game. Just snacking.
You know what? I actually think my average is probably more, though. That's the sad part.
Well, yeah, with those pita salsa, you'd have
salsa
to...
Pizzas?
Salsa pizzas.
They're wild.
Well, I have to confess that I'm at a loss as to how to introduce our in-studio guest more specifically, but let's start in the realm of the mythical with the jackalope. It's one of the rarest animals in the world, and it is a cross between an extinct pygmy deer and the species of killer rabbit.
Yes.
These are extremely shy creatures, and none has ever been captured alive. So we'll have to talk to Catherine Gingrich here, my guest in the studio, about Death Valley's little brother and what this jackalope mythical creature is, and the I guess, a little bit odd name
Yes.
of your restaurant. So pray hell, what are we talking about here?
Well, okay, since you started off with the jackalope, that's where I'll go. As you said, the jackalope is a cross between a jackrabbit and an antelope. So you can picture a hare with the antlers on. He only breeds during lightning storms that have hail, so he's even more extremely rare as a result of that. And the only way to catch a jackalope is to put a flask of whiskey on your front porch and hope that he drinks it and gets drunk and stumbles off, and you have better chances of catching him.
Okay.
And that's how our Scotch
No,
part.
do you eat them?
No,
Or you can't
heavens,
eat them?
no,
Okay,
no.
no, you can't eat
they're
them.
no. But yeah, that's kind of how the Scotch part.
Okay.
It all comes around to that.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
And his name he's the brother of
Yes.
Death, the little brother, younger brother of
The
Death Valley.
Yes, yes. So there is a mythical story on the website. I'm sure you've been on to
Yes,
take a peek.
yes,
About Whisper and
Right.
and his brother.
But I'm curious, the thought behind naming the restaurant was obviously to be a bit of an attention grabber.
Yes.
To sort of set yourself maybe in a realm of, I mean, most places name their businesses like, Ed's Used Cars,
Right.
or, Joe's Burger Joint. I mean, this is very identifiable, but you look at and you don't know it's a coffee shop. You don't know it's a whiskey
that's right.
bar. So
And
you're
it was deliberate.
Deliberate,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes, yes. And I'm that part of the story is the mythological creature online. The other part of the story is that my husband worked in the corporate world in Toronto for a long time, and he sort of decided that he was going to take a bit of a break from that lifestyle and open up his own business. And in between doing that, he took a motorcycle trip through Death Valley.
and he encountered obviously the jackalope there, and
well, so he says.
he thinks.
So he says, yes. But upon coming back and starting up the first business, it's since been sold, but this is the second business. So it's sort of the little brother to the first business.
I see.
Yeah.
Now, is there a cooking background here for either of you? Or
No.
Food or restaurant business?
No. But a lot of hospitality
Experience.
on my side. Yeah, definitely.
That helps.
Absolutely.
Because it's a wickedly demanding, fickle
It
business
sure
to get
is.
into. You got to know your stuff.
You do.
Well, let's see. We have a caller on the line here. He's got a question, I think. Well, maybe it'll fit in with the ones that I was going to ask you. Anyway,
Sure.
John, you're on the line. Are you there?
Yes,
Hi, John. Where are you from? Where are you calling from, John?
from Midland.
What's your question? Do you have an interesting question to ask of Death Valley's little brother?
Well, small business and how they get started and how they grow has always been an interest. And espresso whiskey bar seems such a unique concept that I'm kind of intrigued as to why Kitchener-Waterloo was picked and how the business is growing. What's bringing new people in, that sort of thing.
It's an excellent question, John. Thank you for calling, and we'll get Catherine to answer that.
Well, I think Kitchener-Waterloo has a lot to offer. It is a growing community, and the demographic is definitely there to support something new and interesting, hopefully. Yeah. So as far as that's concerned, and what was the second part of the question?
That's a good question. Are you there still, John?
Yeah.
What was the second part of your question?
Well,
I'm looking at their website right now.
and how they're coming in, how the business
How the business
Oh,
is
the
doing.
business is doing.
Right.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, it's actually doing very well. It's primarily word of mouth that we're getting. We're also on Twitter and Facebook, so we have that working for us as well. But yeah, we business picks up. We're surprised in the first 2 months that we've been open that we're doing as well as we are. So it's
Well, let's backtrack, and maybe this will help fill in some of those questions too. Is give us an overview of what happens at Death Valley's Little Brother.
Sure.
It's not just a restaurant. It's not just a bar.
Right.
It's not just a music venue. It's sort of a compilation of three. So what are some of the things that you're doing?
It is, yeah.
that have carved out a unique kind of niche for yourself?
well, I think the espresso itself, we use a micro roaster out of Dundas, Ontario, and we've deliberately decided to go with somebody that is a craft roaster. So the coffee, and we pay real attention to the coffee detail, the old Italian style way of doing it.
It's like a pour-over espresso?
We do a pour-over. It's a manual machine that we work on, so there's nothing automatic. The skill is always all involved on the barista's end or the grind or what have you. So there's a lot of tweaking that goes along with the coffee. The Scotch part of it is my husband, more so than I. He considers himself to be a Scotch enthusiast, so he wanted to bring something unique to the area, and so we fused the two.
I'm just holding up a bag of the coffee right here. It's called Hawkbit Craft Roast.
Yes.
Just so people can take a look.
Yes.
Yeah, the Scotch is interesting too. How have you found the relationship between the two things? I mean, coffee and good whiskeys, they sort of go together for me at the sort of the end of a meal. They're really a great pairing.
Well, and that's right. And that's, I guess, kind of the point is that you perceive both individually, but both as drinks that you would sit down across from somebody and enjoy at a slow, you drink over coffee or you have a drink of Scotch. It's not something that is meant to, well, on the Scotch part, to go out and party and, you know. But, it's to create kind of that atmosphere, I suppose.
And what kind of Scotches? Do you have a particular, what's the word I want? A distillery that you like, small lots? Do you like the northern ones? Do you like the saltier ones? Or is it a cross-section?
It is really a cross-section. It really is. I brought this little map in today, this little tool for sure, that we help a lot of people to guide them when they come in and they may not necessarily have.
It's basically a matrix, as I'm describing it, as smoky, light, rich, delicate. So depending on where you land on that matrix, you'll get those flavor qualities.
Exactly.
Now, what about the pronunciation? Macklin I can do.
Oh, yes.
Brookladek,
yeah.
Kragenmoor.
That's right, yeah.
Lafroig,
yes. Very good. You're doing well. There's a nice one. Tell me what this one says.
Oh, I don't think I can do that. One looks like a tough one.
This one right here with the A.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. It's a challenge.
Achenshen. I have no idea.
It's Auchentoshan.
Auchentoshan.
Yes,
Very good.
The Gaelic. It's the Gaelic.
Is this something that's sort of do you see as being kind of a trend maybe in this area? I mean, we were talking earlier about the sort of generalized coffee culture that's here in this region, and is this an added layer to that? Do you see a sort of a standard set of whiskeys that people are looking for in a more kind of reflective, contemplative kind of way?
Absolutely.
That's a focal point of a restaurant rather than a sort of an afterthought after a meal?
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. And they are front and center on our wall at the back of the shop. So people come in and they may sort of be curious about what we're all about, and then when we point out that there's a single malt Scotch bar, they run over to that side and take a peek. And the demographic of people who come in is very interesting. We have, of course, a lot of older men, a lot of mid 30s to mid 40s type of people come in.
That's older. That's an older man.
Well, no.
Just wondering. I want to know.
Put me on the spot. No. But we also have. It's interesting. There's a huge female demographic that is coming our way, which we were both surprised with, but pleasantly surprised. That a lot of women are coming in just in 2s and 3s, and they're hanging out and just enjoying a Scotch.
And food-wise, there's some breads, pastries, depending on the day part and whatnot.
That's right.
What are you serving there?
So typical coffee shop fare, so muffins and squares and stuff like that. And on Fridays, we bring in croissants from Golden Hearth.
Nice. Right down here in Kitchener. Nice.
Yes, that's right, downtown. So that's kind of a special treat for us once a week to do that.
I'm speaking with Catherine Gingrich of Death Valley's Little Brother. You can get more information by going to dvlb.ca. The music component is also interesting at the end of the week. Tell us about that.
Well, there's the music component is twofold. We have a record player, so we spin records from time to time. Vinyl, yeah, which has a much richer sound. So
I've got all my old LPs that I bought in the 70s.
Are you looking to get rid of them?
No. I'll lend you them if you'd like.
Okay.
I got some classic stuff like
when you
really
come
good
in,
old Beatles tunes.
You know what? That's great. When you come in, bring your own record. We'll put it on. Yeah.
All right, I'd love that.
Yeah.
I'd love it. Some of them I only played them like once.
Yeah.
I only played them once. I recorded them, and I was hoping I could make a killing by selling them, but I don't think you can. So
we'll see.
So people will sit and listen to a music on a phonograph or on a record player.
Yeah,
That's
and they
so
love
old
it.
School.
Yeah. We've got a Marantz And so people who recognize,
Marantz,
they come in and they're like, oh, wow.
I have a Sony Direct
Zero
Drive.
in on that. Woohoo.
Well, did you hear recently Neil Young? I just caught the sort of the headline and a little bit of the lead paragraphs about his concerns with high fidelity and sound, and I think he's sort of asking us to move back toward that. I didn't catch the whole. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that guy has amazing, longevity and history in the music industry. Exactly. Yeah. I'd love to see that.
Yeah,
I'd love
so would
to see
I.
that. Yeah.
That would be interesting.
So, what about live music?
Live music, typically on Friday nights, sometimes Saturday, and then every once in a while during the day on the weekend. So if you happen to catch an artist, we tweet about it, and Facebook. So, but yeah, we had a guy who has since left us and gone back to BC, but he was playing the piano and the ukulele, and he was doing music like Pink Floyd and Bob Dylan and stuff like that. And you can imagine Pink Floyd on a ukulele is pretty unique.
That would be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Although I wouldn't ever put it past the guys from Pink Floyd either. They can come up with some pretty bizarre concoctions themselves. Well, maybe we should learn where this... Oh, first I want to take a look at that little goodie that you've brought in.
Oh,
there.
yes.
And we want to talk about Mr. Mark's creme brulees.
Yes,
correct?
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
It looks great. Can I take a look? And you can tell me about it.
Yeah, definitely. This is our creme brulee that we have recently introduced. It's an orange and chamomile. It's a blend, yeah. And it is to die for. Melt in your mouth. A local guy who's doing it for us drops them off once or twice a week, and they're flying off the shelves.
Yeah. And they would be just perfect with an espresso or something after.
Well, here's the thing. Creme brulee alongside dark chocolate are the two things that you should pair with whiskey. So
okay.
It's a bit intentional.
Well, certainly with something like this, I can smell the sort of the burnt orangey flavor that I can see perfectly with a
single malt. Yeah. And a single malt, I mean, often if you take a sniff of a single malt and you do the same that you do with wine, so you see if you can smell the notes that you nose it exactly, yeah. And oftentimes you'll smell caramel or sort of butterscotch undernotes, so that you can see how that would pair well with it.
Will you do Scotch tastings? Maybe
we will. Yes. Yeah.
And how did you learn this? Do you have? Is someone is it just trial and error? Drink and like and drink and like and drink and think,
I
so
think
it's not. No one's a sommelier or.
No. As I said, my husband is a Scotch enthusiast. Okay. So, but yeah, and it's nice to sort of have a wide range of various whiskeys to be able to try out, and I think that's what is appealing to a lot of people that come in too, is that before buying the bottle on the shelf that has the pretty label, you can come in and try it and hang out for a little bit first, and and get to know the various types.
It sounds like a nice environment, and I think maybe you should just tell us where it's located so people can find it, because it is sort of there's not a secret entry or anything like that.
No, there's no secret handshakes.
It doesn't have a big sign that sort of announces where you are. You're very quiet and muted.
Yes, and that was deliberate. It was to make it feel like it was your space that you discovered, without us being loud and in your face and that sort of thing. So it's the location is 84 King Street North in Waterloo. So the intersection is King and Bridgeport.
Right.
We are directly across the street from Falche's, right next door to Harmony Lunch, and we are in the old Papa Lou's location. Okay. So we've actually left the Papa Lou's sign up. We haven't taken that down, and that's sort of, hopefully that helps people to find us in that way. But if you want to spend the night with us, you're going to find us. We're not worried.
Well, it's a very unique approach, a thoughtful one, and probably a delicious one as well.
Yeah.
Just missing cigars, though. Too bad.
I know. We talk about that too.
Well, thank you for joining us, Catherine. We appreciated hearing about Death Valley's Little Brother. Sounds like a great little organization, and I think it's a welcome addition to the food and restaurant scene in Waterloo Region and Uptown Waterloo.
Yeah,
thank you.
That's great. Thanks.
That's Catherine Gingrich. She's a co-owner with her husband Joel, Death Valley's Little Brother, and you can contact them through dvlb.ca. Don't go away. There's more on the Food Show right after these messages. You're listening to 570 News.
This is the Food Show with Andrew Coppolino. To call Andrew, 519-570-2545. By cell, star 570. Or toll free, 1-800-570-5715.
Football fans are expected to eat an estimated 69.6 million pounds of avocados during this year's Super Bowl.
Avocados? Really?
Guacamole.
I've never had guacamole.
Oh my goodness. Are you serious?
Gotta confess that right now.
Next time you tell me when you're coming in, I'm going to bring you some. I'll make it personally myself. You must eat guacamole.
Is that an Andrew Coppolino guarantee?
Yes, it is.
Oh.
Yes. They will also eat, those crazy Americans, an astounding 14,500 tons of chips and 4,000 tons of popcorn on one day on Super Bowl Sunday. Now, that's a lot of light food. It's tons, but can you imagine how much space all those boxes would take? It would be absolutely... Now, I'm sure this is with food bought at stores, food bought at restaurants, food bought at, personal, whatever. It would be all kinds of... So, wow, that's just amazing. And then, of course, the final quote I want to give you, the final little bit I want to give you here is that approximately 54%, according to 7-Eleven stores, there's a 20% increase in the sale of antacids on the day after Super Bowl. We should point out for Twitter people out there that you can follow dvlb.ca, Death Valley's little brother, at dvlb_espresso, if you want to follow them. Well, now, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. December is Christmas month, of course. April is Daffodil Month, and so on and so on. But suddenly, February is Meatuary, and that's at least according to Dan Nedelko. Dan joins me on the line. Hello, Dan.
Hey, Andrew. How are you today?
I'm good. What is Meatuary?
Well, Meatuary came up actually on the last day of January. It was a really last-minute thing. It's a celebration of all things meat, and that doesn't just mean meat that you might buy at your 7-Eleven or at your McDonald's outlet. We're really focused on real high quality meat, and there's we take it as a lighthearted. It's intended to be a lighthearted celebration of meat. We love meat. The vast majority of people love meat. I certainly do, but there's a kind of deeper undertone to that, is that, a lot of our food that we ingest these days has been really gone through a grind in a corporate food production process. Is pretty terrifying, actually, when you sit down and you get educated about it. So what we want to do is, for the entire month of February, and possibly for every other month of the year, is looking at really high quality grass-fed meat, stuff that comes from your local farmer. You get it at the market, rather than containing fillers and antibiotics and, genetically modified feed and all the low-quality things that you see when you actually take a look at this stuff.
What do you want people to do? You've got a website. It's meatuary.com. What do you want people to do?
I want people to join us there and join us on Facebook as well. They can search Meatuary. Share their recipes, share their tips for getting that quality meat. Do you know a good local butcher? Do you know someone around? This isn't an advertising campaign. We're not trying to push any particular product on anybody. But it's tough for a local butcher and for local farmers and markets to really kind of get the word out there. You'll see dozens of McDonald's commercials in a given hour. Pizza Hut, the sausage, whatever. Share your recipes, share your tips. Find, do you know a great corner butcher around the corner from your place? Do you know a farmer where you can source these things? Because really sourcing it and finding it can be difficult. You've got to go out of your way, to really do it. And I personally, I don't think that's right. We should have access to this type of quality of food that we're giving to ourselves and to our family and to our friends. And then also you can go to meatuary.com and sign the Meat Manifesto, which is the pledge, that you really believe in this stuff, that we care what we put into our mouth and what goes into our food systems. Antibiotics in a farm system and an animal system, that takes years to dissolve itself out, even if it's beef. And these are kind of dangerous things. But have fun with it.
Dan, it sounds like it's a lot of fun, and I hope that it won't stop at the end of February. I hope it'll keep going, and I want to thank you for joining us here. We have to get out of the segment now, but I appreciate your time, and I will direct people to Dan Nedelko's Meatuary. Visit meatuary.com for more information. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks a lot, Andrew. Have a good day.
That's it for the show for this week. Thanks to Dan Nedelko, Jeff Swiderski, the Food Tour Corporation, and Catherine Gingrich of Death Valley's little brother, dvlb.ca. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to eat that creme brulee right now. Thanks also to our studio producers here at 570, internet producer Jordan Carbone, and our studio operator Laura Geddes. Thanks, Laura. Avocado is on the way. Visit 570news.com for an archive of past shows, and follow the Food Show at twitter.com 570 Food Show. Read my column in the Kitchener Post each Friday and join us next week. It's a visit from Bob Bloomer and Uptown Waterloo's Chili Cook-Off. Remember, eat wisely and eat well. Thank you for joining us here at The Food Show, only on 570 News.